Alright, apparently my camera wasn't recording, so I just removed everything without showing anybody. There's the pick that I need to program. Kind of see it. There's capacitor on the end of those tweezers. Took that off. So I took off a diode. Oh, come on. Focus. Took off a diode, a capacitor, another capacitor, a third capacitor, a fourth capacitor, and then I took the chip off. I'm going to clean the pads up using my normal iron so that they're smooth. So when I reprogram the chip and go to solder it back on, it'll go on much smoother. So I'll get that all prepped up. I'll show you the how I clean up the pads with my iron, and then I'll come back. Hopefully I don't bump stop again. Alright, and I have a heavy tip on this because it transfers heat faster. Alright, you lucked out. I had another one that needs the same thing done, so I will desolder this one so you can see what the heck I'm doing. Hang on. Okay, again I'm going to try and do this one-handed without hitting the stop button. That's not too bad. Okay, so I'm heating up the capacitors here, and actually I'm going to start on the diode. This needs to come off here. So I'm waiting for the color of the solder to change. It goes from a dull gray to a shiny silver, and then I can just kind of push the piece off. Because I'll pick them up with the tweezers once they're done, but just to get it off I'll do it this way. Then I got to remove this capacitor, and again this air is probably about 600 or 700 degrees Fahrenheit. So that comes off, that comes off, it's not ready, that comes off, and that comes off. Now the chip I want to take off as well, just to focus a little better. So again, I'm just going to wait for the color to change. Just pick it right off. See? And now I will put the hot air gun back on its stand. It'll cool off. And now I have two boards ready to be reworked. And two of these buggers to reprogram. So I will get the board cleaned up, and I will clean up the board like this. Just get my iron with the wide tip. I like the wide tip for this because I can get a lot of heat out quickly without heating up stuff next to it. So all I'm doing is melting the solder enough so it's smooth. Oops. I'm not adding solder or anything, I'm just smoothing out the existing solder so that the chip will sit flat. Alright, that works. Alright, I'm going to get it ready, I'll be right back. And there's my fume thingy. Alright, and I got my parts together. First, the diode will come out of this strip here. Each one of those little partitions holds a diode, and then the capacitors are in a strip here. Usually these strips are in big spools that go into a machine that puts them down there, but you can do it by hand. And these are 100 picofarad. These are 30 picofarad. Alright, and I have my flex pen, water soluble flux dispensing pen. It's just a little bit of flux to help clean the connection. Just dab it, keep it in focus. Everywhere I'm going to solder something, I will put flux down. A clean connection is a good connection. And since it's water soluble, I can clean it up real easy if there's extra when I'm done. Alright, I gotta put the camera down to place the components. Okay, and here's a short clip of placing the components. You just kind of get them in the general area, and hopefully the surface tension of the flux will hold it until you solder it. Be back. I got everything pretty close, so you can zoom in. Everything's just kind of sitting there. The diode sitting there, capacitor, the chip, capacitor, and over on this side you got capacitor, chip, resistor, capacitor, diode. Focus. And then I will get my hot air gun and I'll show you how to reflow them back down. So it's all ready to go. Alright, I'm using a slightly smaller tip this time. And I will probably not do this one-handed. I shouldn't have to. I should be able to do the camera and this. Let's see. Zoom in a bit. That looks good. Okay, so we'll start on this side, and ideally the surface tension of the solder, once it melts, should pull that piece into place, just like that. And then I'll do the chip. You should just see the chip drop like that. And that cap. Then lastly, the diode. I might have to go back and do the diode a little bit more by hand. It's kind of a weird setup, but we'll see. No, that's good. Yep. We'll go to this side. Yeah, see, that capacitor didn't pull back straight. It's too far off. Yeah, I'm gonna need a hand for this side. Oh, the diode went down, no problem. Oops. But the chip didn't. It's alright, that smoke is all flux. You can see this side, the pieces didn't pull in as straight, so I'll straighten those out by hand. You can probably see it better. I went and fixed those, just kind of heated them up and then used my little pokey thing here to push them so they lined up with the pads, and they stuck in place no problem. So there's both boards. This board has a little solder blob in the middle here, which I'm going to remove now. Remove the blob. Let this focus. Focus, damn you. There we go. And I'm going to use solder wick for that. It's a copper braided wick with flux in it that when I heat it up with an iron on top of that, it'll suck it right off. I can't do that one-handed, so hang on. Alright, there you go. If that'll ever focus, you'll be able to see the flux, or the solder that wicked up onto it. So these are ready to go. That was how you reflow.